Welcome to Steve Draws. I'm Steve van der Groot, a Dutch illustrator and animator, but you can call me Steve. I just showed you a preview of an animation I did for another YouTube channel, which is called Like So. And usually I draw everything on the computer, but because I now do the drawing tutorials on paper, I started drawing on paper again. And this scene, the deer and the background are both done in pastels. And in this lesson we're going to draw the same background, and the only thing you need is pastels and pastel paper. And pastel paper has a little bit more of a structure. Let's get started. When you start out with drawing pastels, it's always good practice to tape down your drawing paper with some tape on some cardboard. The first thing I'm going to do is draw the background, which is going to be a little bit of a blue. So I'm not going to mix the colors yet, just apply the pastels to your paper. Just get it in there. And I'm just drawing the outline of a tree which is going to be in front of the picture, and I'm using a green pastel because trees aren't really brown, they consist of many different colors. And now using the green as a base for the tree, and I'm drawing a tree trunk and just apply the pastel, and we'll mix it up later. You can do that with your fingers, and because the paper has a little bit of a structure to it, the pastels will blend much better. If you have flat paper, it just doesn't work. So just apply the green pastel. I'm also drawing a right tree trunk, and when you're done you can mix it with your finger. Just press on the paper and apply the pastel, and it will mix with your paper because it has a structure to it. If you have flat paper, this won't work because the pastel needs some grain. If you have larger areas, you can use your side of your hand and press it real hard and press it into the paper. And the details you can press down with your fingers. And with drawing in pastel, you first do the basic shapes and the basic colors, and then you can mix them later. And the more pastels you apply to the painting, the easier it will get to mix the colors. I'm now using a darker, an aqua blue pencil, and applying an off-white pastel, and just first apply the pastel and later you can mix it. And when you use different colors, you can mix the colors on your paper. In that way you get more of a structure into your pastel painting. Just press it down slightly with your finger, and you just need to feel it. You know what kind of effect you want to achieve. I haven't been doing pastels over the 20 years, and these are just old pastels from 20 years ago, and they're still good. So if you have old pastels, never throw them away. I'm just applying some off-white on the top, and I'm now going to finish the background, but I'm going to time-lapse it. I'll get back to you for the next step. Now we're going to apply the grass, and I'm just going to use a light green for that, and just fill in the colors with your pastels first before you start mixing. Doesn't really matter how you apply it in this phase, because we're going to mix it into the paper, and I'm now blending the background and the grass, so you'll get a softer gradient. Everything you draw in front will have more detail than the background, so we just keep the background soft, and the tree which is in front will be much more detailed. Now using an aqua green to get more structure into the grass and to make it a little bit darker, and just mix it with your finger. The more pastel you apply to your paper, it will become easier to mix your colors. I'm now going to do the right side as well. And I'm not touching the tree because I don't want to mix them up with the other colors, because the tree needs to stand out because it's in front of everything else. I'm now gonna enhance the tree and use a darker brown, and I'm already sketching in the details of the bark of the tree, and it's always good practice, you know, to follow the lines of the tree, because then you get a nice structure. And just mix it with your fingers. This is still the base of your tree, and we'll add details later. In this drawing, the light comes from the left, so everything that's to the right will be much darker. So this is what I'll apply more darker values to the right of the tree. I'm now grabbing a reddish brown and I'll also apply it to the tree. And the nice thing about pastels is that you can mix it right on paper, so you see what you're doing. And to get a more rich and in-depth tree, it's better to apply different kinds of colors to it. And when you mix it, you get a very rich looking tree. So I'm mixing it again with my finger. Then I apply some new pastels to it. I'm now applying some highlights with a white pastel, and these are the sunbeams, that the sun is coming from the left. And if you do this, if you highlight it, the tree will be much more dynamic. I'm now grabbing a blue pencil and just going to add it to the front tree, and it's also the base color for all the trees you're going to draw in the back. And these are just silhouettes of a tree, and just keep it very simple. Just draw in some trees and some bushes, and because it's in the background, trees will not be that detailed. It's just an indication or an impression of trees and bushes, just to create the idea of a forest. Also going to draw a darker tree in front of the background. You can also use a mixer, and that's a really pointy mixer because it's smaller than your finger, and if you use that you won't smudge your fingers that much. So I'm now applying an aqua blue pastel to get more color into the background. And just keep the shapes very simple. They're just silhouettes because it's the background. Just keep it very simple. I'm going to time-lapse the drawing of the background, and I'll get back to you for the next step. I'm also applying more green to the grass. And just mix it with my fingers. And all the excess pastel you just blow away with your mouth. Now I'm grabbing a white pencil and I press it really hard to draw in some birch trees. And these are always very nice trees because they're quite graphic and they're different and they stand out because they're white. And I'm just drawing it on top of the background so you get a nice structure in your trees. If you want to apply more pastel to your paper, then you just need to do it with short strokes. Now I'm going to add some brown to the right side of the trees, because this is the shadow of the tree. The light is coming from the left, so everything that's to the right will be much darker. And in this way the trees will be more dynamic and more three-dimensional. The nice thing about birch trees is that they're very graphic, you know, they have these stripes on their bark. I'm just applying them with brown, and this is the base color, and on top of that I will add some black. Just gonna highlight the trees with small strokes, and then you'll get nice highlights with your white. The white pastels are a little bit more greasy, so they will stand out more. I'm going to use a pastel pencil, a black pastel pencil, to add the details to the tree. Because you can mix pastel pencils and pastels perfectly together. I'm now going to grab a black pastel to enhance the stripes on the bark. Just with slight strokes, it's just an indication. It's more an impression of a birch tree. And I'm going to apply some grass on the bottom of the birch trees, and the other front tree I will enhance with the darker color, so it will stand out more from the background. So I'm using a dark gray to draw the front. To let it stand out more, I use a brown on the side of the bark. Just very simple and not too detailed, because the focus is on the right tree. I'm now going to add the leaves of the birch tree, and I'm using a yellow for that, and I'm just using very small strokes to get the structure of the leaves. Don't smear it, just, you know, apply it with fast strokes. And this is the base, and on top of that I will use a darker green. And in this way you'll get a nice structure of the leaves, and it's of course an impression. And I'm going to use a more lighter green to let it stand out a little bit more. This is just an example of drawing a forest with pastels, but you can also draw your own forest. But I just show you this, that you just have to try out things and don't be scared to make mistakes, because you can always repair them. And I'm using the blender, and I use this pointy blender because if you use your finger for this, you will smudge too much, and I'll just want to keep the details of the bark. And I'm gonna add some highlights with a white pastel pencil, just to get the left side, because the light is shining on the left side of the trees. And if you apply the highlights, then the trees will stand out more. I'm going to darken the right side of the tree with some blacks, and just going to mix it in a little with my finger and just use the structure of the tree, of the bark of the tree, to get this nice effect. I'm also going to apply it to the left branch and just mix it slightly, just tap it a little bit, because you want to be a little bit more detailed at this point. I'm also gonna add some shadows to the birch trees, because the light comes from the left, and these are just the cast shadows of the trees. Now I'm gonna add some reddish brown to it, to the tree. And some blacks again, and you just need to try out things, to get a nice structure in the tree. I'm just adding some blacks because these are the shadows of the leaves of the big tree, and this is how you can draw a forest with pastels. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to my channel. In that way you won't miss a single video. Drawing is fun and practice makes perfect. See you next time. Doodles!